Welcome to this talk where I'm going to be discussing DigestFocus, one of the new additions in this focus range by Vets Brands. My name is Izak Venter, veterinarian for 30 years plus, and I've also specialized in veterinary ophthalmology. Do you have a pet with abnormal digestion? The clinical signs typically include increased fecal volume as well as defecation frequency. The stool also tend to become this very malodorous, yellowy, fatty type of stool. They tend to lose weight, they become flatulent, they have an increased appetite, and a lot of times these patients may start eating their own feces. DigestFocus is specifically indicated for a condition called Exocrine Pancreatic Insufficiency, or EPI. Now, this is a condition where the so-called exocrine pancreas in the body does not secrete enough of these digestive enzymes. And if the food is not being digested, it can't be absorbed, and that is going to give rise to all these clinical symptoms. DigestFocus is a powdered enzyme supplement, and we specifically use it to control clinical signs of pancreatic insufficiency. There is no cure for this condition. So all that we're doing is we're just supplementing the patient with enzymes that they need for this digestive process. And there are specifically 3 different enzymes that we are supplementing. The first one is something called amylase. And amylase is responsible for the digestion of starches, carbohydrates. So they tend to break down your starch into simpler sugars that can now be absorbed. It also contains lipase, and lipase is an enzyme that breaks down fats. And so typically a fat consists of these 2 different parts. We've got the fatty acids and something called glycerol, and what lipase do is it splits the fatty acids from the glycerol, and that allows these fatty acids from actually being absorbed into the body. And then the last enzyme that we are going to supplement is protease. Protease is an enzyme that breaks down protein into little building blocks. So the building block of a protein is something called an amino acid. So it breaks down your protein into amino acids, and the amino acids are then being absorbed. So if you think about EPI, the treatment options for EPI is 1, feeding these animals raw pig pancreas, which is the absolute gold standard for the treatment, and it's by far the best way of treating pancreatic insufficiency, but it is gross. I know very few people that actually wants to have this piece of raw pig pancreas in their fridge and need to feed these patients raw pig pancreas every single day. But yes, it does remain the gold standard. But we can also give them an artificial product, and that is where DigestFocus comes in. So DigestFocus contains these 3 enzymes. So we've got amylase, protease, and lipase in here. And we've also included inulin, bromelain, and vitamin B12. And we'll be looking at those in a moment or two. So the amylase, protease, lipase, idea about those is just to aid in this digestive process. Inulin is a prebiotic fiber, so what it does, it helps to restore your normal good gut bacteria, which does help with the absorption of food. And then we've included bromelain. And bromelain is an enzyme derived from pineapple, and it does have an anti-inflammatory effect, but it also helps with protein digestion. So DigestFocus is available as a very, very palatable powder, and typically we will give these animals, depending on their weight, anything from 1 to 3 scoops of the digestive powder. But what's very important with DigestFocus is that we need to thoroughly mix the powder with the food, and we then need to incubate that at room temperature for about 15 to 20 minutes, because these enzymes are in their inactive state. So we need to activate them by mixing that with food and then incubate that at room temperature, and only give it after about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you very much. If you have any questions regarding this product, please feel free to email us at info@vetsbrands.co.za, and we will be happy to try and assist.